Hello, good evening, and as David Frost used to say, welcome to another 60-minute show brought to you by the Sporting Club. I hope you're all relaxed at home or wherever you may be with a cold drink with you, because boy, oh boy, has it been hot today. I've got my fan on over there on full power, trying to keep me cool for the next hour or so, because over the course of the next 60 minutes, we're going to be joined by our guest tonight, Mr. Phil Tufnell, cricket and general television legend. He's going to join us very, very shortly. Just to say, as always, a big thank you to our sponsors of the 60-minute show, namely Jura, Fanatics, Sedulu, Source One Associates, Vinex, and IPS. A big thanks, guys, to all of you for supporting us, backing us, showing your faith in what we do. A quick heads up, everybody, on Thursday night, we have our next sports quiz with the stars. Our star on Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m, so you're not missing any great football, is Asmir Begovic, good friend of the club. We had a wonderful evening with him a couple of years ago. Asmir is currently still plying his trade between the posts for none other than AC Milan, small club in Italy. But before then, he was at Bournemouth, Chelsea, and Stoke City. Very erudite individual. He and I are co-hosting our quiz on Thursday night. And then next Tuesday at 7 p.m, 7 till 8, Mr. Snooker, Mr. Darts, Mr. Sports Entrepreneur himself, Mr. Barry Hearn, will be joining us for the 60-minute show. But tonight, we're talking cricket. And we're talking about and with a man who played 42 times for England in test matches, bagged 121 wickets, and also played 20 ODIs, played for Middlesex for the best part of 16 years, and subsequently has had a very successful television career. He won I'm a Celebrity, believe it or not, the second ever series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Our guest tonight won. He was a team captain on I Think It's All Over for a while. He managed to get to the 9th week. How he did this in Strictly Come Dancing. And of course, he is a captain, a team captain on A Question of Sport, and has been for the last 12 years. So this is always the moment you worry about. With a little bit of luck, we're going to be joined now by none other than Phil Tufnell. So hopefully, Phil's going to join us. Phil Tufnell, are you there, my friend? Oh, I see some action. I see some action. Hello, Phil. Can you see and can you hear me?
I can. Hello.
Hooray! Always a worry. I don't mind admitting this to the people watching. We had Sam Allardyce a few weeks ago, and he was very, very late. And I had to talk about my holidays, names of my pets, what kind of weather it's been. And he did rock up eventually, totally oblivious. Oh, hello, Ian. Meanwhile, I've had a double cardiac. So I can't tell you how pleased I am to see you, Phil, even more so than I would normally, because you're there. So thank you.
Lovely to be here. I still haven't quite got the hang of all this Zoom stuff and everything. Everything starts with, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Lovely to be here, mate.
Good, lovely. Well, how's your day been? Because I tell you what, it has been a scorcher. The tabloids in the old-fashioned days would probably go, phew, what a scorcher.
Oh, scorcher. Yes, yeah. No. Well, cheers. I've been enjoying a few. I've been enjoying a few in the back garden. Yeah, next 2 or 3 days I'm going to be about 30 degrees. So yeah, nothing much has changed at Tufnell Towers. I've been in lockdown. Been creeping out a little bit more now as things have started to sort of slightly ease a little bit and what have you. But yeah, been a funny old 2 or 3 months, hasn't it? And haven't we missed sport? Haven't we missed live sport? Oh
my goodness. Do you know what? It's almost as if you've read the script. I'm about to get into all of that. But before we do, I should just add that we always encourage everybody watching to donate a little bit of money to the charity of our stars request, preference. Tonight, Phil, it's all about Cancer Research UK.
Yes.
Why is that, Phil?
My mother passed away from leukemia a long time ago, so I've had quite a close connection with that charity as well. I'm an ambassador for four or five charities actually, but cancer research very close to my heart. And if anyone can spare a few quid, I'm sure it goes to a fantastic cause. You know what I mean? We've got to beat this thing one day.
Yeah, we're getting closer to it. It's getting a lot better, isn't it? That we've come along great strides in cancer, but it's still you're told you got cancer. Your first thought is quite negative, isn't it? So we're not there yet. No. All right, so cancer research, everybody, and I'll mention it again at the end. Now, secondly, you mentioned lockdown. I mean, God willing, this is a one-off, and we'll be telling our grandkids about this strange 3 or 4 months we had in 2020. How have you found it? The negatives, the positives. What have you got out of it?
The garden looks good, and my day usually used to revolve around what turned up from Amazon. You know, the missus had, usually got some creosote or something. I go, oh God, I've got to do the fence, you know what I mean? Or there'd be some sort of like wood stain, I've got to go and do the shed or something like that. So been doing lots of that. All the tins are facing the right way round in the cupboards. And I dismantled a trampoline, which was a great big trampoline at the bottom of my garden. So I've been sort of like tidying up, and that bloody do it in gloves. That's what I can think, because my hands would cut those springs, cut your hands to ribbons. They do. But
I knew there'd be good advice from this from talking to you tonight. And there we go, everybody. A good tip when you're dismantling a trampoline.
Yeah, wear gloves. But Tufnell Towers, I must admit, turned into Las Vegas. Really, because I was losing money left, right, and centre. I was drinking cocktails at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't know what day of the week it was. So, You know what I mean? It was a little bit of a crazy old time, but abided by the rules, kept myself locked down. Very lucky, got a garden, you know what I mean? I'm very fortunate in that respect. And then just I've been doing what most people have been doing, just sort of like, watching reruns of Arsenal versus Liverpool from 1978 and Masters from 2002 or something. So normal stuff, mate. Nothing particularly exciting.
Don't I get too profound, but I've had this conversation obviously with quite a few, especially sports stars. Do you think there's just a possibility that people's mindsets, people's perspectives may have slightly changed? That there's been a bit of a reality check about how we lead our lives, how we are with other people, what is important in life, whether we're spending money on stuff we shouldn't be doing. Do you think any of that's come into our lives, or do you think when we're back, it's almost back to normal?
Well, I did buy myself some Tupperware.
Right.
I got some Tupperware because I started freezing things. You'd make yourself a spaghetti bolognese or a chili or something like that, and instead of sort of like throwing the last little bit away, I must admit, I go, right, I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to freeze that. And I was, and I wasn't wasting anything. So I think it hopefully it will have changed people's mindsets. The only trouble is that people do have short memories, don't they? And when you've been out once or twice in the car or something, it's always like, no, you go first. Absolutely lovely to see you. Hopefully that still remains in another 4 or 5 or 6 months' time, instead of just the usual kind of like whizzing around day to day and not sort of stopping to smell the roses a little bit. So I know what you mean, and hopefully that does still continue, because it has been, there's been a great, and the Thursdays, everyone was out clapping, weren't they, and everything, which was wonderful. And there has been, even though you haven't been sort of seeing too many of your neighbours or your sort of communities that you're in, there has been that feeling of sort of togetherness, and if we all stick together, we can sort of like overcome this. And so hopefully that remains, for sure.
Well, let's hope so. Now, on the cricketing front, we are about to get going again.
Yes.
As they nearly said in Star Trek, it's cricket Spock, but not as we know it. Nobody's actually going to be there.
No.
But except maybe you will be. Are you going to be commentating?
Yeah, we're all going down to the biosecure bubble, which is, I think the first test match is at the Ageas Bowl down in Southampton, and then we're all sort of like decamping and going up to Old Trafford because they're grounds with hotels on site, and so that it can all be sort of like, in this bubble. And we had our briefing a couple of weeks ago from the ECB and everything, and told us the rules and what have you. The chef. We've got a chef who's going to be. There's no room service, no bars open. We've got special rooms where we've all got to be isolated and what have you. Food dropped off at your door and stuff. So it's all pretty complicated. But I mean, they've done a fantastic job, really, just to get to this point. They've been absolutely, breaking their neck work-wise to get all this sorted out, and then eventually it's all going to start up on the 8th of July against the West Indies at the Ageas Bowl. No crowd, so that's going to be a little bit weird, but I think we can get over that, because at least we've got some cricket, we've got some live cricket, we've got some test cricket, and hopefully the summer, keeps on, the sun keeps shining, and it'll be lovely. But, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks? Things are changing every day, aren't they? So it'll just be great to get down there and watch some cricket, the sport I love, in the sunshine. That's what an English summer's about for me.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? If you go back to last summer, very, very hard to replicate that, isn't it? The extraordinary circumstances of the World Cup, especially that final, and then not quite, but at times the equally extraordinary circumstances of the Ashes, thinking particularly Headingley and the summer that Ben Stokes had, and then to go from that and the euphoria and to this is really from the sublime to the ridiculous.
We had the country in the palm of our hands, didn't we, after that summer? So it's we've got to try and get that enthusiasm back, because, as you say, what a summer that was. I mean, first time we've ever won the World Cup. I was commentating at Lord's on the radio for the World Cup. Even the members in the pavilion were singing, we're singing, Sweet Caroline. I've never seen Lord's rocking like that in my life. Champagne bottles were going, all the old MCC members were right in on it, and it was a fabulous game. The super over, and the run out, and the Stokes, it hit Stokes' bat and went for 4 and 6 when we were dead in. You could not write it. It was funny, actually, because I was actually on commentary during that, and I'm quite an emotional kind of guy. You know what I mean? And at the end of it, thankfully Jonathan Agnew was in control, and he was sort of like saying, "Oh, when the ball's gone down a fine leg and they're turning for 2, and he's run out," and I was just shouting. I was just going, "Run! Don't stay!" It was incredible. So I'd completely lost me load, so to speak. It was just a wonderful day, and I did say actually after that on the radio, you will never see another game of cricket like that as long as you live. And then 2 weeks later, Ben Stokes went up the Headingley and just produced another absolute spellbinding performance, to beat the Aussies there. I mean, probably the best test innings I've ever seen. Even Sir Geoffrey Boycott said that is the best test innings I've ever seen, lad. And for Geoffrey to say that, it must be up there.
He didn't include himself when he said that, presumably?
No. Well, he might have got stuck in a little bit, old Jeff. I don't think he would be reverse sweeping sixes, Jeff. He might have a slightly different style.
Do you know what? I was very lucky to have been in the stands in Australia, in Sydney, on that balmy Saturday night. It was a Saturday morning here in 2003. When England won the Rugby World Cup. If you recall, they won it with 28 seconds to go and Johnny Wilkinson popping the drop goal over.
I remember.
And I said to everybody at the time, I will never, ever see anything more dramatic in my life. Cue last summer. I mean, not only was it the greatest game of one-day cricket ever, it happened to be a World Cup final.
Yeah. I saw that, actually. I saw the 2003 World Cup with Matthew Dawson, of course, my mate from Question of Sport. I saw it in St Helier Hospital, actually. we were going round in the morning to my mate's house with a load of beers and breakfast.
That's in Surrey, isn't it? That's not too far from you.
Yeah, that's right. And then through the night, I had this sort of terrible, sort of like rumbling appendix. So I was taken to A&E, and which was completely empty, by the way. So I'm sitting there going, "Oh bloody hell!" You know, throwing up and all sorts going on. I was in pieces, and they had it on the telly in A&E. And that's where I saw it from. And all the doctors were sort of like, going, all right, Phil, hold on a minute. Yeah. Here. And I'm going, all right, well, hold on. And I watched it with all the doctors. So that was a funny memory of that 2003 World Cup. But I know, brilliant. Sporting occasions, those kind of sporting occasions stay with you for life, don't they? You know, and that's what, as you say, live sport especially. And I think that's what we've all been missing, you know, those moments that just change your life, really.
Well, they always say that fact is stranger than fiction. You know, if you and I had been having a few beers and I said, so England are going to win the World Cup, but they're going to win it with Stokes being caught on the boundary and the guy, for some reason, stepped back over the ropes. He's then going to inadvertently divert another ball for 6, which, by the way, should have been 5, but who cares?
Yes, I know.
And eventually, as it goes to a super over, and then we're talking about fine margins, aren't we? I mean, all it took was for Roy in the field to fumble the ball or to be another yard wider, game over.
And I still don't actually know how we quite won it, because I think we drew the super over, but they won it on the amount of 4 scored. See, I'm getting old a little bit now, you know what I mean? Because I was just thinking it's wickets fallen, which then they should have done. So no one knew what was going on. It was incredible. And as you say, when and I certainly didn't know the ruling about when he slid in with the bat, and he still middled it for 4.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I mean, which wasn't his fault, and that is the rules of the game. But the other rule that I didn't know, it's from when the fielder had released the ball. So, you know, I think I know quite a little bit about cricket. Cricket is my game, but there are still these little things dotted about in the rules. You know, God, I'm so glad I'm not an umpire. Could you imagine what they were thinking out there? I do not know.
Now, you mentioned the Ben Stokes, so we're going to talk about your career in a moment. But whilst we're on a bit of a roll, you mentioned the Ben Stokes innings. Just for everybody listening and watching tonight who I'm assuming didn't play professional cricket, certainly not at your level, just explain to people why it's up there. And a lot of people, you know, very recognised top Test batsmen have said the same thing. It wasn't just because of the score, and it wasn't just because of the occasion. It was, I guess, how it was constructed, how it had quite a few departments to the innings.
What, the Headingley innings, you mean?
Yes.
No, for sure.
Test match, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he scored 3 off of 70 balls in that morning, and not forgetting. Don't want to bore you with stats or whatever. The night beforehand, bowled us back into the match by bowling sort of like, I think it was 18 overs unchanged at one end. You know, when all the guys were flagging, red hot day, Australia were cruising to a nice total. You know, he bowled us back into the match the day beforehand, then came out with the bat, blocked up an end. And so I think it's the changing of gears, you know, the gear changes that he went through. And he wouldn't have been able to do it without 2020 cricket in his locker. It's as simple as that. As you say, you're talking about Geoffrey Boycott. He could never have played those shots. He could never have got that in that time frame. And so I think it was, you know, the day beforehand, the bowling England into a position where they could win. When things started, you know, the wheels started coming off, you know, scored 3 in 70 balls. Then when old Jack Leach came out polishing his glasses and everything, realised that now's the time to drop it down a couple of gears. And then just completely, you know, I mean, all 11 fielders of those Australian fielders were on the boundary. So all it took was one mishit and a catch and what have you. Very, very difficult to pierce the field when everyone's on the boundary. And he just kept smacking it over the red. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, explain to everybody as well what Test cricket does to you, because, you know, anybody who plays cricket...
Drives you a drink, mate.
Well, you know, but I know how physically and particularly mentally exhausting a day is. So you're talking about Ben Stokes smacking it everywhere. But there was that occasion where Nathan Lyons, and there's a little lesson in life: be careful what you say because it can come back to bite you. Had what should have ordinarily been a relatively straightforward run out. What, 29 out of 30 times he would have done it. But we're talking that split second, I guess, Toffers, where you're thinking this is to win the Ashes.
Yeah, and Nathan
Lyons.
And Nathan Lyon's a gun fielder. You know, Nathan Lyon is a cover point for Australia. He's a proper fielder. You know what I mean? It's not like myself who, you know, used to do it with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? And hopefully it would stick. You know what I mean? He is just a naturally talented athlete and a fantastic fielder. So for him just to do that lollipop throw and not then sort of like engage the run out by fumbling it, it just goes to show that the pressure was on, you know. And and it does funny things to you. You know, you're playing in front of full houses. The pressure's on. You want to do it for yourself. You want to do it for your teammates. You want to do it for your mum and dad in the stand. You know what I mean? And all these things are just bubbling away at the back of your head. And it got to him. It's as simple as that. To this day, he cannot tell you how he missed that run out. It's as simple as that. He'll watch it 100 times, as I have done in my career. How did I drop that bloody catch? It was an absolute goober, you know what I mean? Absolute dolly. And you look at it and you just go, I just don't know how that happened. So there must be that little 1 or 2% in the back of your head which just slightly takes your eye off the ball. It's as simple as that. He won't. To this day, he cannot fathom how that's happened to him.
But you know, cricket's like sport. Obviously, it is. It's a sport, but
it's a bit like sport.
Yeah, sport's like life, isn't it? It will kick you down, and then when you're down, it will suddenly pick you up, won't it, and give you a kiss. And
we all go down the pub. We all go down the pub after the game in cricket as well. So it's a lot like life.
There we go. So look at Ben Stokes. You know, 3 years ago, he's under the cosh. You know, punching people outside nightclubs in Bristol. He does that last over the World Cup final and gets smacked all over the place, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. 3 years on, he's Superman.
Sports personality of the year.
Yep.
And well deserved. I mean, I think sometimes in sport, you know, there's ups and downs, aren't there? There are ups and downs, and I think you learn from them. And if you learn from it, which then Ben has hugely, you know, I mean, he was like we all are, you know, he was a bit wild and a bit loose, so to speak, you know what I mean? But then I think that the nightclub incident, I think resonated with him a lot, and he realised, hold on a minute, and he took a good look at himself, and he's then just gone on, you know, from strength to strength. Also, look at Smith, the Australian captain, you know, had that sandpaper gate and what have you, got banned for a year and thrown out of South Africa, and the Australian Prime Minister all leading off and having a go, and he's come back. You know, we all make mistakes, you know what I mean? I'm a big believer of giving people a second chance, you know what I mean? And he's come back a better player as well. So, you know, a bit of irony is sometimes that when you do sort of like come a cropper and sort of make a bit of a knob of yourself, or, you know, do something a bit wrong, you know, it's then how you react, and then how you then come back and learn from it. And that's what those two guys have done wonderfully well. And now, you know what I mean, you couldn't meet two nicer fellas, you know what I mean? You really couldn't. I know both of them pretty well, and you know, they're great guys. And so long as you learn from your mistakes, which perhaps I didn't during my career, it's the way you come back that matters.
Yeah. Just finally on the sort of present cricket front, obviously having done so well in Test cricket and not so well in one-day cricket, the focus was on one-day cricket, and then Test cricket suffered, especially, I guess, that sort of top four lineup. So we were always, you know, 50 for 4 or something. Yeah. It seems to me, over the course of the winter and the South African tour, you've suddenly got Burns, you've got a guy Sibley who can shore up the end and score runs. Not particularly pretty, but neither was Alistair Cook. Who cares? And you've got Crawley, and you've also got Denley. So suddenly you've got, they may not get big runs, but they suck up the overs, don't they? And suddenly you see Root coming out at 100 for 2 after 40 overs, and it's game on, isn't it?
Yeah, just a quick shout out to Owen Morgan, actually, about that one-day cricket as well. He was the guy who actually, you know, humiliated against Bangladesh 4 years ago when we were knocked out. and then decided this is enough. So he really did create that team in his image, and well played to all the backroom staff and what have you. And, you know, Trevor Bayliss and all the guys at the ECB and things, they actually did, Andrew Strauss, these guys actually did put down a marker and said, you know, this is where we want to be in 4 years' time. We've got a home World Cup. And Owen was fabulous in actually getting that team together, sort of moulding it and then taking it forward as well. So a big shout out for Owen, and also a fabulous player in himself, but a fabulous leader and a great organiser as well.
And can I just say, by the way, we had him for one of our lunches at the Sporting Club in November. You know, normally we have a chat for 40 minutes. It was about an hour and a half, and people, you could have heard a pin drop. Could have heard a pin drop. He was so open, so embraced the whole occasion.
Yeah, a huge amount of respect from his teammates, and just that sort of calmness when everything's in a melee round you, especially in one-day cricket, especially in 2020 cricket, when the ball is going out the stadium, and you know what I mean, there's sixes and fours going everywhere. Crikey, I've tried captaincy a couple of times. You just get in a muddle, you know what I mean? You don't know how many overs he's bowled, what ends, where's the field going, and everything like that. Very calm, great leader of man. So massive respect to Owen. He really did lead that team over that 4-year period to that point where we did then actually win the 2019 World Cup. And I think that is now happening with now Joe. You're talking about, you know, the batting order and everything. I think he's now sort of like starting to sort of, and I think Chris Silverwood's helped this as well with a new sort of coach and everything, that he's starting to sort of like mould his side in his image. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but it is how you then do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you inherit a side and they're quite not the personnel you want, or the brand of cricket is kind of not how you want to play and things like that. But now Joe, he's been very successful beforehand as well, you know, but now he's really starting to put his stamp. And that England side that takes the field following him onto the pitch, you know, really does understand, you know, he's the boss. This is how we want to play. And it's going back to the old school a little bit, really. You know, those guys up the front are there to set the platform for the Stokeses, the Roots, and all these sort of like big hitting flamboyant players to come along. But you can't do it at 40 for 4. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. So he's now getting the right sort of blend of people, you know, the sort of lead violinists, the violinists, you know, and the whole band's coming together in his image. And so I think it's really good. I think England cricket's going to be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, I know. I'm very excited. And there's people like Ollie Pope coming up through the ranks as well. So some really good young talent.
Yes, Ollie Pope, fantastic player, Ollie Pope. Then we've got the likes of Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, these kind of guys. We've got fast bowlers as well. And it's all really, I mean, and they do admit it, it's all about going down under and trying to win the Ashes down under. You've got to have the right setup of players and attitude to go down under and beat their big quicks on fast bouncy pitches. And so you've got to have the personnel, and they're slowly getting their pieces in place to then achieve that.
So let's talk about you then. I don't know whether you've ever had the pleasure of meeting Stuart Pearce. Obviously, the famous.
He's been on my Question of Sport side a couple of times.
Well, you probably know this then, and there is a link here to you, especially in your sort of teens and everything. Yeah. You could talk to Stuart Pearce for as long as you like about football, but if you really want to get him engaged, talk to him about punk rock. Well, talk to him about the Stranglers. He is the world's biggest expert on the Stranglers. The Stranglers even wrote a song which had his name in it. To this day, he'd rather talk to you about the Stranglers than about football. So I'm just trying to imagine you in your teens. You mentioned that your mum died, obviously, which is hard for any kid, but it was that whole sort of punk thing. And you're
I was a punk rocker. I was a punk rocker.
That's my point.
I had the Mohican.
Did you?
Yeah, I had the Mohican. Core blimey, my dad, when I came in with the Mohican, he looked at me, he chased me around the bloody front room about 20 times, but thankfully didn't get hold of me. And the biker's jacket and the tartan trousers and everything. So I was a bit of a punk rocker. Yeah, Sex Pistols, Stranglers, UK subs and all that sort of malarkey, but thankfully grew out of that. And, well, funny you say that, actually, because I had when I was playing for Middlesex, I had a ponytail. I had like a big ponytail because it was like sort of in those raving days, you know what I mean? Sort of
I
had
bet
an
not many
earring.
did though.
No, had an earring and as well like that. And I was bowling pretty well for Middlesex, and sort of like all the members kept saying, "Oh bloody hell, who's this bloke with the ponytail and everything?" And Gat came up to me. I think we were playing at Uxbridge against Essex, and he said, "Listen, Tuffers," he said, "You've been doing really well. You know what I mean? A few people have been asking about your names. You might get, might get on a tour for England or something like that." He said, "You're never going to get picked with a ponytail." So he said, so he took me in his car, before the game to Uxbridge, sat me in a barber's chair and got me haircut. And I was going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like that. And the shears came out and he gave me the old crew cut like that. But Gat was a wonderful man, because about 2 weeks later, I got the call up to go to Australia for my first tour for England. So if there's anyone out there who wants to get picked for England, take your earring out and have a crew cut. But things have changed a bit now.
I think times have changed. You mentioned your dad chasing you all over around the house when he saw the Mohican. But your dad, and this is a reoccurring story in sport, your dad, especially with your mum obviously passing, your dad plays such a massive part, doesn't he, in your life, and particularly in the early days, and pushing you to become what you became.
He was brilliant, my dad. I mean, he wasn't a pushy dad, but he was always there. He was always there on a snowy Thursday night to take me to nets up at Finchley, over there, the Middlesex sort of indoor school. You know what I mean? When I played football as well, every Sunday morning, he had all the nets and the balls in his Volvo estate. You know what I mean? Would go round and pick up all the other kids, you know what I mean? And we'd all go down there, take us all to training on a Tuesday, you know what I mean? And he said, he was so cold. He said, I've been so cold watching you play sports, son. He goes, on them mornings, he said, you don't know, he said, you're all right because you're about 12 and running about and enjoying yourself. But he said, I was so cold. But he was there for me in that respect. But never then, was never then sort of like a pushy parent, you know what I mean? Because I had a couple of years off, like you do, when I was about sort of 15 to 18, got myself a moped and went down the pub, you know what I mean? And sort of fell out of love with it. But and so he sort of like was always sort of going, well, perhaps you want to think about going back up the nets, or perhaps you want to go training just to see how it's going. And then eventually I did, and then got the contract. So without that sort of pathway that he sort of gently pushed me there, I've got a lot to thank my father for.
I'm assuming he used to take you down Highbury as well. Obviously, Arsenal players at the Emirates used to have some, and that's when they were good. And I speak as an Arsenal fan, so I can say that. So you must have had some happy memories with your dad watching, that great Arsenal team under George Graham, and then the early days of Wenger.
Yeah. Well, of course, my father, of course. I mean, Middlesex and Arsenal were very closely linked. Compton. My dad, Dennis Compton, used to play for the Arsenal in those days. He used to play for the Arsenal, and his brother, old Big Ed, at number 5, he used to play as well. I think
Leslie?
Yeah, Leslie Compton, yeah. So he played there, and the last game that my dad said he saw of the Arsenal was when they lost 5-4 against Man United. And then Man United went off and had the Munich air disaster. I think that was the last game they played. And so he said that was wonderful. He said he used to sit on the bus with Dennis. He said he used to sit on the bus with Dennis going to the game. He had his boots, and then he'd go, "Hello, Dennis," and he'd go, "Hello, son," and he'd sit there and just look at Dennis Compton going on the bus to play for the Arsenal. I mean, different times. But then he used to take me down there. Used to go down there a lot with him as well. Wonderful, wonderful times. Great little pitch, wasn't it, Highbury? Right on it. You were clock end and North Bank and everything, and you were right on the side of the pitch. So we had some lovely times down there as well.
When I look at your career, and this is a question I'm always fascinated to hear the answer to this, because it's a very different answer depending on what sort of a person it is. I'm asking the questions. Here we go. 42 tests, 121 wickets, 5 fifers, 2 10fers. Had some major highlights, not least 11 for 93 against Australia.
Oh, yes.
97. And the 6 for 25 against the West Indies, etc.
Oh.
20 ODIs. Over 1,000 wickets in first-class cricket. By anybody's standards, you know, any county cricketer, probably, I don't know, high 90% would bite your hand off for that. Question I want to ask you, Tuffers, is when you hear that, do you think, yeah, I'll definitely take that. I'm really happy with that. And do you know why? Because I squeezed every last drop of talent I had. Or as you're older and wiser, perhaps, a little bit more mellow, do you look back? And this is a question I ask everybody, even if, you know, you're Sachin Tendulkar, I'd ask him the question. Or do you think, I left a little bit in the locker there?
Underachieved, I think you're trying to say.
Could be another way.
I wished I'd have got a test 100. I wished I'd have got a test 100. But the way I batted, it was a long way off. I know what you're saying, but it was a different era in those times. Central contracts has been massive for English cricket. You know, I wished I'd have been in an era where central contracts were there because you know, Team England. We were. I can remember, you know, me and Angus Fraser. We'd be playing in Glamorgan on the Monday, trying to, or both bowling 40 overs, absolutely knackered for Middlesex, and then get in the car, drive up to Old Trafford. A couple of days later, lose a toss and be bowling in the field against Australia. You know what I mean? It was just different times. You know what I mean? So you did have to sort of save a little bit. Also selection. You know what I mean? The selection was terrible in those times. You know what I mean? The amount of one-test wonders and what have you. It was I'll put that in context for you. Before every test match, we all used to have a test match dinner. So we all used to get dressed up, go down there. There'd be Lord Ted and everyone there, and you know, all the hierarchy sitting there. We'd all have this lovely dinner, and we'd all have this sort of like, and then at the end, cheers and everything. Good luck for tomorrow and everything. And I can remember that the first time I did it was the first test match, and Lord Ted's got up like that and said, "I'd just like to, you know, raise a toast to the 11 who are going to play tomorrow. Fellas, you're the 11 best players in England. Go out there and play well." And we've all gone, cheers, like that. Anyway, we lost the game. So the next test match came around and we had the dinner like that. And about seven had been dropped like that. Okay, so it was a completely different dinner table. Okay, but Lord Ted got up and said, "Fellas, you're the 11 best players in England." I was like, well, what's happened? Hold on a minute. It's only been one game. Where have they all gone? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so the kind of the toing and froing of selection didn't enable you to sort of like blossom. You were playing under pressure a lot. You know what I mean? You were almost playing under the, you know, you kind of knew, you know, if you got a 25 and an 11, well, that, you know, I won't be in next for the next test match. Someone else will have a go. If I don't get 5 or a couple of catches go down off me bowling, you start feeling under pressure. So we played under pressure, and I think that does come down a lot to selection. You know, there's no core which you can then you know, gain confidence from and then go out and play carefree cricket, and that's what it's all about these days. You know, go out there, express yourself.
Do you think you would have liked the chance to have been a modern day professional cricketer, the central contracts, the ultra professionalism, maybe the old, you know, sort of the so-called bad boy image and the fag and the beer may have had to go? But
well, yes, but nowadays the guys have everything at their disposal to become better. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? We used to go away. We used to go away with a physio and a coach and a bloke who used to sort the buses and the planes out. You know what I mean? I've seen now. I've got on planes now. You know, there's 30 backroom staff. You know, there's dietitians, there's video analysis, batting coaches, bowling coaches, fielding coaches, this coach, you know, mental health, doctors, you know, all this. So it's all in, which is fantastic, by the way. You know, it's all in place that if you want to get the best out of yourself, it is there. You know what I mean? It is there. And I think I would have enjoyed that. Listen, you know, the boys still have a laugh. Listen, believe me, they celebrate a win just as good as anyone. You know what I mean? Just because it's this new sort of like new wave of English cricket, you know, they still go out and have a good time, but the culture's changed. You know what I mean? If we had a day off, you know, we'd all sit round the pool, you know, have a long lunch, and then, I don't know, you know, go out and go to the disco or something, to go to a nightclub. You know what I mean? But nowadays, listen, you know, they'll go to the gym even on a day off. You know what I mean? And they'll then go and have a nice lunch. You know what I mean? And then perhaps, you know, I don't know, you know, go and enjoy themselves. Or and it's just a slightly different culture that everyone's now working to the same goal. When we were really, you know, 16 fellas, all different fellas, all doing different things. We weren't together. Now there's one aim and one goal, which these guys.
Yeah.
Brendan McCullum said something. If you can get everyone facing the same way on the team coach, he said, you've got the beginnings of a good side. We were all facing different ways. We was all looking at the birds.
I want to talk about your TV career in a moment, but just on the cricket front, I saw a quote from Mark Waugh. It made me laugh, actually, and you might have heard this one. It's talking about you, Mark Waugh, the forgotten war. That's the one. The one, do you remember on it was the receiving end of, who was it now? Was it Jimmy Ormond?
Yes.
Remember that sledge?
Yeah.
It's one of the only good clean ones. Do you remember that? The line he said.
Yes, and was it something about?
He said something like, Mark was in the slips, and he goes, yeah, why are you even in this game? Why are you even playing Test cricket? And he, quick as a flash, well, at least I'm the best cricketer in my family.
It was a belter from Jimmy.
It's a great line.
The landlord we used to call Jimmy Ormond. Was it Jimmy Ormond? Yeah, Jimmy Ormond used to play for Surrey and Leicester. Yes, we used to call him the landlord because he just looked like a pub landlord. And I think used to occasionally go down the pub. But a wonderful guy. There again, probably only played, I bet Jimmy, great cricketer. Probably two test matches. Test matches. Got beaten out of sight by probably the world's best ever side that's ever lived in that Australian side. Never seen again. Yeah.
That highlights the selection.
Great sledge, though. Great sledge.
So brilliant sledge. So the other great one's Viv, of course, but we're going off piste. Mark Waugh, talking about Phil Tufnell. If you attack him, he can go on the defensive, and it puts him off his game. Yes. What made me laugh about that is, who was your most frequent victim in Test cricket?
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. Listen, he would have had a few runs at the time. Listen, what a fabulous player. I mean, you know, great hands, and that shot through mid-wicket against the spin, it was great. But I did manage to get him out a couple of times. But listen, he would have had a few hundreds along those times when we got him out. But that Australian side was they just kept coming at you. You know, I mean, you got someone like Gilchrist coming down the stairs at 7 or 8. I mean, come on. And then you've got Warren, McGrath, Gillespie, Waugh, Ponting, Hayden Langer. I mean, what? You know what I mean? We were on the back foot as soon as we kind of then realised that we had to be right at the top of our game and them to have an off day for us to beat them. Listen, we beat them a couple of times. Well, we beat them more than a couple of times. But, you know, for a 5 test match series, you know, even we realised that we were kind of in a bit of trouble, you know what I mean? And for us to win, we had to be absolutely on the money, which is very difficult over 5 test matches.
So the reason why I brought Mark Waugh up, Waugh, was just going to say to you, you know, who was, it doesn't have to be 1, it could be 2 or 3, absolute prize wicket for you. And who is the batsman where you'd be at the other end just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get this fellow out. He's just so good.
Well, my prize wicket was Vivian Richards at the Oval, the Master Blaster, Sir Vivian. Listen, it was his last test match. I think he was about 48 or so. So I think the eyes might have been getting a little bit darker. But I mean, I can remember, you know, watching him as a boy on the sofa, that amazing West Indies side, you know, with Haynes, Greenwich, Richards, you know, Roberts, Holding, Croft, all these guys, Marshall,
Collis King,
all these. I mean, you know, that sort of like early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Clive Lloyd. I mean, was just, I mean, that's probably the one side that you could put up against that Australian side of the sort of 90s and early or the 90s. But so I got him out, which was an absolute beauty. But I had the privilege of bowling against Brian Lara for 2.5 days in Antigua, when he scored 375, which was a world record at the time, which I'm very proud of, actually. He was just phenomenal when he got going, Brian. Perhaps someone like Sachin would, be more considered. But if it was Brian's day, there was no holding him. You couldn't bowl him. But it just goes to show, and you're talking about, tell people that what it is about Test match cricket. He got 375 at Antigua, broke the world record, and then we went to Guyana. I got him out next game for 2. I mean, you know what I mean? What's that all about? How does that change so much? I mean, and that's one of the great things about Test cricket, that there are so many different variables. But I mean, him on his day, Brian Lara, of course, got the 501 as well, didn't he? For Warwickshire, and broke every record they were going in county.
And the 400 in Test cricket after that as well.
And then beat Matthew Hayden's, who then beat his 375. The next time he played against England, Antigua, went on and got the 400. So phenomenal player, Brian. Brilliant.
So 2003, just as you were retiring, you got 2 gigs. The first was you began as a summariser for a little-known cricket radio show called Test Match Special.
What a joy.
And you're still here. And I listened, as we all do, especially when you're in the car, you listen to it. And what I hear you, and it reminds me of one of my favourite quotes, which is from Confucius, which is, if you enjoy your job, you never do a day's work in your life. No. And it comes over how much you enjoy it and how much you enjoy the company. It's changed over the years, but you've changed over the years as well. We all do.
Yeah, it's an absolute joy. As you say, I can remember listening to, that's probably my first memory of cricket. As you say, sitting in the back of my dad's car going down to Brighton, sat in a traffic jam, and hearing our lot and Johners and everyone wafting over the airwaves with the sun shining and painting that picture. Absolutely.
Having some cake.
Yes, exactly. It's intoxicating, isn't it, really? And then to be sort of asked to become a member of TMS was an absolute honour, actually. An absolute honour. And we've got such a great team there. Everyone's, a lot of people, Aggers and Simon Mann, Blowers, who's now retired, Blowers, Kristen Martin Jenkins, who have, sadly passed away and whatever. But, there's such a lot of warmth there in Test Match Special. It just sort of like, it's like a comfortable old shoe, it just wraps you around you, and the sun's shining and there's the crack of leather on willow, and you know what I mean? And let's all go for tea and everything. What did you have for tea, Blowers? Oh, I had a very nice, it's just wonderful. And so to be part of that, and I got it straight away and loved it, and then still loving it. It's a wonderful thing to be part of.
The other thing you did, which seemed like quite a big chord at the time, was you decided to go, pretty much quick to do this, to go on a little known show called I'm a Celebrity.
Yes.
Get Me Out of Here. It was only the second series.
It was.
You rock up and become the king of the jungle. I mean, life is strange, isn't it?
What a touch that was, by the way. Could have been first out. Who knows? I've decided to retire from cricket. In fact, it's the first time I've ever come back from Australia having won anything.
Yes.
So it was very strange, because I just retired from Middlesex, and I got the call, and I didn't really know what I was going to be doing. You know what I mean? Which is a very sort of awkward time for professional sportsmen. I think I was 37. And you're going, oh, crikey, what am I going to do? And things are all a bit up in the air. And they just said, right, well, do you want to come on this? And I said, well, are we going first class? And they said, yes. And I said, I'm in. And so got on the plane, within 2 weeks of retiring. And what a bit of luck, you know what I mean? And then went over there, had a wonderful time. I mean, it was such an experience. You don't know. You are taken out of complete, your norm. You know what I mean?
Who was in there with you?
Oh God. John Fashanu, Linda Barker, Wayne Sleep, Chris Bissant, Anthony Worrell Thompson. If you're ever in a jungle, always take a chef, because he saved our lives. Because when he got slung out, the food went downhill rapidly, because all you're eating is these bloody beans and rice and what have you. But he actually did them quite nice. And I'm only a skinny boy, the big lads struggled in there a little bit. But the food didn't particularly bother me. But what an experience! And then to win that. I mean, crikey, you just don't know. I can remember coming out off the aeroplane, because, you're right across, you're in Australia, you don't know what's going on. They don't tell you, you don't know what time it is, you don't know what day it is. You just, they completely shut you away, and you don't know, what's going on. And then I got on the plane and we landed at Heathrow, and there must have been 500 photographers waiting, you know what I mean? And I've just gone, bloody hell, what is going on? You know what I mean? It was like the Rolling Stones getting off the plane. You know what I mean? Flash bulbs and everything. And then I've gone home with my wife Dawn back to her little place in Sutton in Surrey, and there's 200 people in the road. All outside, camping outside. People climbing over your fence to get in your back garden. You know what I mean? It was completely mad. It was completely mad. And so it does take a little bit of getting used to, but I mean, what a roller coaster ride that was. And listen, and what a bit of luck. I've enjoyed every minute since.
And I would guess, Tuffers, I mean, now sometimes they make it almost a bit obvious. They're thinking this could bolster my career. They're there trying to look good. I would imagine, and knowing you anyway, but especially the second series, you rocked up clueless. You probably left clueless. And somebody stuck a crown on your head.
Exactly. It was exactly like that, because we didn't know what to do. We actually all tried to get on with each other, actually, when we were in there. You know what I mean? When nowadays, perhaps people go in and sort of like, I don't know, have a bit of a fight or create a bit of a drama about nothing sort of thing. We actually all try to get on with each other and have a bit of a nice time. As you say, we were all very naive about what it was. It was only the second one, as you said. But then, I mean, it was amazing, and I loved every minute of it, and and it just enables you to do a few other things along in the way, you know what I mean? It's opened up a few other doors. I was always looking to go into the media with cricket, but it just, enables you to do a few other things, which is great.
Well, the irony is as well, I'm sure you thought about this, and sport, because it is now so professional and polished and sponsor-led, we always used to moan about the bad boys or the unprofessional or whatever, and now I
wasn't that bad. I wasn't that bad.
We used to moan about McEnroe. We used to moan about James Hunt, and now we look back and go, oh, we miss those characters. You've been a bit different, a bit joie de vivre, enjoying yourself, having fun. Served you very well. Subsequently, you win the jungle. You get a gig for a short period of time, and it was a good gig on They Think It's All Over, which for a while was unbelievably popular sports panel show. And then you get the big gig, which you've had since 2008. 12 years.
Really? Is that long?
Huh?
Question of Sport?
12 years.
Wow. Well, I mean, I was talking about TMS. I couldn't think of another more iconic show that is an absolute honour and a privilege to be asked to be a captain of. I mean, it is just wonderful. We've got a great team in Sue and Dorse, who we get on very well. All the people in the backroom staff have all been doing it for a long time, so it's an absolute slick machine, and we just go down there and have fun. So don't tell them, but I'd do it for nothing. You know what I mean? Don't tell them.
Okay.
but
just
it's
between
great
us.
fun. Between us. But I mean, it's just a one. I mean, I can remember watching it with my mum and dad and my brother, and splitting up into teams with old Emlyn and Bill and Beefy, Cliff Morgan, and all these guys.
Willie Carson.
Yes, exactly. So to then be a part of it, and just to go and enjoy yourself. And I think also a lot of people enjoy it because they see the sportsman, because they might be at the start of the 100 meters. They just see this so focused face. That is the only perception they had for this sportsman. And then the sportsman comes on, sits down there, has a bit of a smile, tells a bit of a funny line or something, or a bit of a funny gag or whatever. And it's nice to see people relaxed and at ease with themselves. So it's an absolute joy to be part of Question of Sport. I couldn't have two better gigs than TMS and Question of Sport. They're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I can see it in your face and hearing it in your voice. So we had Matt Dawson on a few weeks ago.
And he knows too much. He knows too much. He must sit at home door swatting up on the toilet or something. Old Sue goes, who was the Crown Green Bowls champion in 1874? He goes, you know what I mean? Is it Tony Alcock? Correct. You just go, shut up. How do you know that? He's a great lad, though.
He is, and he was saying you two really complement each other quite well. Although you cross over into each other's territory occasionally. Ruffer, you're the double act. He's the straight man. You're the comedian. He's still probably a bit more competitive than you, but not enough to sort of remove.
Listen. I bloody want to win. We want to win. You know what I mean? You're surrounded by sportsmen and women. You know what I mean? When the chips are listen, when you're driving home, I'm not going to be churning about it for too long, but for half an hour afterwards, I'm sitting going, why didn't I know who bloody won the Masters in 1978? You know what I mean? It does chip you away a little bit, but there's no need, you know what I mean? Because it's just a bit of fun, But no, we've got a great team down there. We have a right laugh.
Yeah. I sense, not that I knew you 25 years ago, but I sense in your ripe old early 50s, you're in a good place. You're pretty happy with yourself, with your life, and how your day-to-day existence and what you're doing professionally. Everything seems to be pretty nice at the moment.
Well, yes, things are going, touch wood. Okay, as you said, my dad, as you say, who was a big part of my life. He said, "Keep a smile on your face, son, for as long as you can." Simple as that. And that's through all sorts of lockdowns and adversity and everything. So try and keep smiling, because there will be a few times when it's not going to be able to be there. And so that's I've sort of taken that to heart a little bit. You know what I mean? And so we're all right at the moment, and just looking forward to getting back and watching the cricket. You know what I mean? Love it there. Love the people there. That's my family. That's my extended family, the cricket family, and it'll be wonderful to get back with them.
And if we sat down when you were 37 and I said, well, what are you going to do with yourself? You would have said, absolutely no idea. No. And then if I said to you, well, this is what's going to happen. I'm a celebrity. They think it's all over. TMS. Question of Sport for 12 years, you probably would have been looking at what was inside my bottle and asked for a bit yourself. So if I now say to you, Tuffers, so what's the plan for the next few years? I'm already guessing the answer is, I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Exactly, a little bit. I mean, I've done a few little bits and pieces as well that are going to be coming out, hopefully sort of like the end of the year, which has been quite good fun. Been doing a few little sort of like wandering around different countries with a few sort of different people.
Okay, that sounds cool.
And experiencing things, those sort of like, like that old Coogan did, and they all went off and did things like that. So that's been great fun, and looking forward to them coming out. But then I make you right, you know what I mean? I'm going to be enjoying my cricket, enjoying my commentary, and the other little bits and pieces that come along with it as well. So, everything's all right, mate.
Well, Tuffers, guess what? It's end of play. An hour has absolutely flown by. That's because of the quality of your conversation. The umpires have flicked the bails off the stumps. The players are walking in for well-earned, in your case, packet of beer. And we come to the end of it. So a quick reminder, everybody, Cancer Research UK. Yes. I know times are tough, but times are really tough for charities. And cancer's out there big time still. So anything you can donate is a bit personal for Phil as well. So anything would be great. Cancer Research UK, just find them on the website and donate, please. Tuffers, it's been an absolute joy. Loved talking to you. Went all over the place. Went all around the houses of this conversation. But I loved it. It was it's the way it should be.
There's so much more. There's so much more.
Yeah. We'll continue this off air. But listen, well, summer well. Enjoy yourself. Keep smiling. Keep making us smile. And we'll catch up with you soon.
All the best, everyone. Stay safe. Take care.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So we come, everybody, to the end of the 60-minute show. Absolutely flew by. What great fun our guest was tonight. Hopefully he's going to go off and have a well-deserved beer now. Hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget that we're back on Thursday, 2 days' time, with our sports quiz with the stars. My co-host for the quiz is Asmir Begovic, a really nice guy, down to earth, top footballer, currently playing for AC Milan, but obviously he used to play for Bournemouth, Chelsea and Stoke. Lovely man, well worth tuning in for that. And then next Tuesday, same time at 7 p.m, we have Mr. Barry Hearn. Trust me on this, you need to watch this. Barry Hearn, you'll be hanging on to every word he says. I've hosted a few events with Barry, and spontaneous standing ovations whenever we finish, and that's not because of me, by the way. So do come and join us next Tuesday. Do come and join us on Thursday. Big thank you once again to our sponsors tonight. They are namely Sedulu Fanatics, Jura, Source One Associates, Vinex, and IPS. And all that leaves me to say is keep cool over the next few days. It's going to be hot. Stay safe still. We're not out of the woods yet. Have a great 48 hours, and hopefully we'll see you here again on Thursday nights for Sports Quiz with the Stars. And with that, I bid you farewell. Good night until we meet again. Thank you.